Hey, Exiles, and welcome to another episode of the Still Sane podcast. I'm your host, Talkative Try, and I am here tonight while we wait for patch 055 news with SamyCaps, who is a creator who just hit 5,000 subs on YouTube and has been making Path of Exile 2, Path of Exile 1, and other ARPG general gaming content for about 2 years now. Sammy, how you doing tonight, dude?
I'm doing good, Try. How you do?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I'm streaming once a week now. It feels a lot better. I was burning the candle on both ends, and I think I'm in a much better spot with everything going on in life, with just hanging, being chill, not going too crazy at the moment, because there's a lot of stuff going on in life, as I'm sure you can understand.
I'm actually going through that same thing right now.
Yeah?
I'm yeah, yeah, I was burning the candle at both ends as well, and I'm kind of doing a course correct right now, so I totally can relate to what you're going through.
Yeah, man. I saw, especially recently, while a lot of people moved on from like Path of Exile 2 to Path of Exile 1, maybe some D4, Season 15 Test Realm, other games. I saw you were making a couple videos. You popped up on my feed and my recommended. I was like, oh my goodness, Sammy Caps, look at he's keeping the discussion going. I saw people were really engaged with some of your economic talks, and I think you put out a poll about how different players are farming in the game and how they perceive these different strategies and all that. Thought it was so fascinating. So I really want to talk about all that here today, your journey with Path of Exile 2 and everything. And I thought that would maybe be a good place to start after we kind of get to know who you are. So for anybody who might not know who you as a content creator are, could you kind of give us the lowdown on how you got into playing games like Path of Exile 2 and making content for them?
Well, it's been a long journey, but as far as the content is concerned, and when I started making content, it's actually been 3 years
Okay.
that I started creating content on YouTube. But as far as my gaming history, I've been playing games for a long time.
Okay.
Originally, it started just to reconnect with my brother, who's a lot younger than me. I had married, moved out of the house, and it was just a way of staying connected. He was a gamer. And then he started playing other games. I started playing other games. And then I started getting this passion. And at the time, I was playing Destiny,
Oh.
big Destiny player. So ARPGs, MMOs are probably the two genres that I prefer to play. But anyway, so I was playing Destiny, and then just because of my high-paced career and in my real life, it was a nice way to come home and just burn off, forget about the real world. So then my passion changed into that. It was just a way of relief, and then I just couldn't shut up about talking about gaming. I loved it. I loved interacting. I started streaming and interacting with chat, and everyone kept telling me you got to, you got to start creating content, blah 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 blah, and kind of pushed it aside just because I was too busy. And then 3 years ago, um, in between games, I'm like, what the hell am I going to play? Path of Exile was always there, but I kept hearing the same noise. It's too complicated. You need a PhD. You need like thousands of hours in the game. Actually, even with 10,000 hours, people are still learning. So I kind of shied away from it. But anyway, Crucible League came along. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to friggin' jump in. And I did. And I'm happy I did because I really loved it. And I just took the mentality of, you know what? If it takes me 5 years to get to mediocrity, so be it. I like playing it. And anyway, at the time I'm like, you know what? Everyone's telling me to create content. Let me start making content. So I started my very first video was on Path of Exile. I
Wow.
don't know, it's kind of like noob versus game kind of style, and it went nowhere. Actually, it's pretty funny, just as a side note.
Yeah.
Going back, I don't know if you've done this, but going back to your original videos and watching how gross and how unbelievably horrible you were was like, I'm like, oh my God, how did I even get monetized? But anyway, so
Yep. Yep.
unfortunately, that's when Diablo 4 was launching. So I started in April of 2023.
Okay.
And I think that's when Crucible came out.
Yep.
And Diablo 4 came out. I played that, kind of got hooked, started making videos on Diablo 4, playing it religiously, and I got monetized. My videos were hitting relative to a person of my size,
Yeah.
like, getting 1,000, 2,000 views on someone that only has like 800, 900 subscribers, a
Huge.
thousand subscribers. That's big.
Mhm.
So I'm like, oh my God. And I loved the game, but I only lasted like 3 or 4 seasons. It was
Okay.
just getting, my content was becoming negative, and I can't stand that.
Me too.
So I made the decision. Yeah, I made the decision to pivot, and it was a tough decision because I had a huge following in Diablo 4. Again, relative to someone of my size, subscriber wise, and people kept telling me to play Diablo 2. Have you played Diablo 2? Have you played Diablo 2? And I hadn't.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start playing Diablo 2. And boy, what a decision. I fell in love with that game. I did everything in it. I beat it on, regular mode. I beat it on hardcore. Just one of my best gaming experiences ever. I, you know, chat my streams were popping off. Then I turned that into we did a 0 to 30 day Uber challenge. So complete all the Uber bosses in Diablo 2 from zero to Uber. That's actually what the challenge was called, 0 to 30 Uber challenge, and we did it right on day 30. So yeah,
Wow.
I had a blast. To this day, I'm sorry, but Diablo 2 is for me, it's the golden standard when it comes to ARPGs for a lot of
Yeah.
reasons.
That's
And
fascinating to
then
hear. Just to interject for a second, because I want to press you on this. That's so interesting because you didn't go in with any of the nostalgia. See, naively, perhaps, I always attribute people loving Diablo 2 and holding it up as, like you said, the golden standard to nostalgia. But you came in playing it for the first time, what, 20, probably 23,
yep.
24 years after release, and it still hits for you better than a lot of the modern stuff. That's really fascinating to hear. Was there anything that stood out in particular that just made it click for you while you were playing it and pouring all this time and effort into it?
It's got all the attributes of a classic ARPG. It's got that dungeon feel, it's got the loot, it's got the chase, it's got the awesome boss fights, challenging, rewarding, there's goals. I don't know, that's why I like
Yeah.
the ARPG genre. It's got all that. It's like going from nothing to a god. I call
Yeah.
it zero to hero. I love that. I love building. I love going from nothing and making something out of it.
Yeah.
And so it was so rewarding. And I understand why there is nostalgia with that game. I totally get it. To
Yeah.
this day, there's still creators that play it,
Yeah, like
and
Mr.
that's all
Llama.
they play.
Yeah.
And actually, it's pretty funny you bring him up after my challenges, like to have someone come into your video of that relevance in the game to come and congratulate you on the achievement was a nice cherry on top. But anyway, so I played Diablo 2, and then fast forward, I was hearing Path of Exile 2 was coming out, and I played all the ARPGs, Grim Dawn, which by the way, another beauty, another beauty. Unfortunately, it's going to be 2 or 3 years till we get Grim Dawn 2, apparently, but another beautiful ARPG. Titan Quest, Last Epoch. I had high hopes on Last Epoch, and who knows, maybe it'll come through. But ever since the craft and purchase, things have kind of we'll see
Yeah.
how that goes. But anyway, I dabbled in all of that, and
Okay.
then Path of Exile 2 came out, and hook, line, sinker. It got me right away. It just took all those games that I liked and bundled it up all in one. And yeah, so that's my main game. I shifted to creating content in Path of Exile 2, even though I'm like, Jesus Christ, like there's like 4 billion creators.
I
They're
know.
all they're all awesome. Like one of the things that this community is blessed with, and don't get me wrong, there's bad apples in everything. But for the most part, we're very blessed with amazing creators in this space from a build perspective, from state of the game, from analyzing the game. We have some really top notch people in this game. So I was like, how the hell? But I love challenges, so I started creating PoE2 content, and because it's the game I'm playing,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it resonates with some people. So
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, especially recently, like I said, I saw a lot of the discussion topics kind of popping off in recent times, and I just have to travel back because you explaining your origins to me just made a million questions pop up in my mind, and I wanted to know, with your brother, does he play Path of Exile too, or did he kind of stay in other games and not with ARPGs? Like, did he venture with you to Diablo 4, to Diablo 2, or not?
Well, when we were going on Discord every night, and
Yeah,
that was probably next to the Diablo 2 run that I did. Actually, no. I have to say that's a 1A. Number one was definitely that period of every night knowing I was going to get on Discord with my brother and we were just going to play was I loved, and streaming at the same time.
yeah,
Yeah, he typically followed me. He would watch my streams and he would, dabble. But my brother is he has his own personality. God
yeah.
love him. I love him, and he plays what he likes.
Right.
And he would come on board, and he has played PoE too, by the way.
Okay.
And then he just next thing I know, he's out. So I that so he has played PoE too. To be honest with you, I've never asked him like, what did you think? What do you like? What do you don't like?
Yeah.
It's pretty ironic that someone that analyzes the crap out of games, I've never had that discussion with him. So,
Right.
but yes, he has played Path of Exile too.
Okay. I was curious because it's so funny. My younger brother also kinda he hopped into Path of Exile 2 and tried it because of me for the first time, and I'd argue he's more enamored with the actual game than me. He loves
Oh,
fiddling with
nice.
all the yeah, he's gone head over heels into he's on character 5 this league, and 3 of them are, like, in end game, 90 plus, is it he's gone absolutely berserk, so it's funny to hear that. Did you guys, you said you guys have been playing games your entire lives. I know I can point out a couple games that my brother and I loved playing together when we were younger. Maybe love to hate playing together, there was always that intense rivalry. Were there any standouts for you? Any, like, classic games or
Not really. It
uh,
happened later on in
later in
life.
life?
Yeah, later on.
Okay.
So it wasn't like, oh, it sounds like you and your brother kind of was a childhood thing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for us, it was later on.
Okay.
Like we played all over, like Conan, just something Conan game. I forget what that
Conan
one was
Exiles?
about. Conan Exiles. We
Okay.
played the crap out of that.
Okay.
He's a Final Fantasy guy, big
Oh,
time. I
okay.
think it was number 7. He was in that big time. We played Destiny a lot.
Okay.
I ran a guild and we were raiding a lot. That was another fun time that I had. I
Yeah.
love raiding. That's hence MMOs. So yeah, we played Destiny together. But yeah, we
Okay.
he's dipped in and out of the games that I've played.
Okay. Yeah, what I have to ask. I swear we'll get to Path of Exile to you guys. What do you think about Destiny announcing end of life? Does it make you a little sad? I know that
Very
just happened.
sad.
Oh.
Very sad. You don't understand. That is the only game I went for a midnight release, stood in a line
Oh.
and bought the game. Actually bought, I think it was a PS4 with it at the time. Yeah. You don't know. I had three max characters on Xbox, PlayStation, and eventually PC. Just to
Wow.
show you how much
Dedication.
I played that game. Well, I was streaming, so
Yeah.
and my clan was helping, new players through the raids. So, I got tired of saying, "No, I don't have an Xbox. No, I don't have an Xbox. All right, let me go get an Xbox."
There you go. Yeah.
So, but
Oh,
yeah.
that's a magic that I never got to really experience because I wasn't the proper age for it, the midnight releases. I do distinctly remember, though, my dad picking me and my brother up from school sometimes after going to, like, Best Buy and picking up a video game for us. I remember being picked up from intermediate school with Neverwinter Nights 2 boxes, which those were the games I was really into. I played like Neverwinter Nights 1 and 2 and Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 and Age of Mythology and like Battle for Middle Earth. You remember like all the game guides and the mag oh dude,
Oh yeah.
I would eat those up. I still have some of them here. I have the D my dad had the D2 loot box, like the actual like battle chest. I have the guide from it, but not the actual chest. So
Yeah. So
man,
you guys had in the US, you guys have game GameStop spot, whatever.
GameStops, yeah, they still exist, I think. It was like
Yeah.
GameStop, Best Buy, and maybe like one other. Was it like Disc Replay? I think might have been
Yeah.
another. What do you
We
are
had
you in Canada, right?
yeah,
What do
yeah,
you
yeah,
have?
I'm in Canada. EA Games or something like that. I
EA
don't know if
games?
they're still
Yeah.
there. Everything's digital now, obviously,
Right.
but
I know. Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
it's pretty funny when you get people bitching and complaining about a game that's free. And I remember going, spending 60 bucks on a game, getting the
Mhm.
hard copy, going home and not even getting 50 hours out of it.
Right. Yep.
Now, like, oh 05, I think I've got, you know, over 300 hours just in oh 05.
That's crazy. Yeah. I know, like, another thing too that I recalled the other day. Games used to obviously they were physical, but they also used to be on like 5 discs too. So you'd put them in the CD-ROM and you'd have to like put each disc through to install. Just such a different time. It was just so interesting to
Yeah.
think about how everything has changed so much
Oh
moving into
yeah.
this
Like
era.
picking up, like, I remember buying my first Dark Souls. I remember buying my first Halo.
Yep.
It was and running. Oh my God. Yeah.
See
Unbelievable.
and now those have kind of turned into I feel like for Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile 1 for the longest time, one of the reasons I love this game is it kinda evoked that feeling of the midnight release or the launch day panic. The only one I really got to participate in was Guild Wars 2 because I was of that age, like, I think I was 13, and Head Start, the 3-day Head Start, it's almost like early access. I just remember such a rush and thrill of being a part of the first people to go into the brand new servers,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
with PoE 1 and 2, happens
Blizzard.
every 4
Yeah.
months.
Yeah. Blizzard did that for D4. A lot of players were pissed off.
Yes.
I purchased it.
Yes, I know it makes money. That's why people do it. Dang
Makes
it.
my yeah.
I know. I couldn't help it, especially when I was 13 and I didn't understand that it was kind of a nasty practice. But
Yeah.
okay. I swear. Now we can talk about some Path of Exile too.
Yes. Let's talk about a good game.
All right. Yeah. Right. Oh, the shots fired already. Okay. So I said before we even started that we were slated to have a pod. I think back in 0.1, there was just so much going on, and I had to cancel a couple of them. So now we're here, 4 patches into Path of Exile 2. We've had 5 total leagues. I want it if you can go back to that. It sounds like you have an excellent memory. So if you can venture back in time, and think about your initial reaction to Path of Exile 2 in those maybe first couple hours, first couple days. What was it? Because PoE2 now and PoE2 then, nothing alike. So I want to hear what your thoughts were on it way back then.
Um, just pure enjoyment. It, your first playthrough is special. You always
Mhm,
remember the first one.
mhm,
So it's not even about analyzing the game. It's just enjoying the experience. So I remember, being a little bit just like a kid in a toy store, to be quite frank. I enjoyed it. And, we had the delay, so that kind of maybe played into it. But the anticipation and finally getting our hands on it and experiencing this new world that's set what you're the lore guy over me, that's for sure, but that's
It's
what 20 years, 25 years
I
ahead.
they actually kinda changed it. It was originally 20 years, and now I think it's 15 years. I
Really?
think. I think they changed it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I think.
Anyway,
Yeah, anyway.
it's ahead of time, and all this build up to it, and the boss fights, every first one, just unbelievable. And the beauty of being a content creator and a live streamer, as you're well aware, you don't have to have a good memory. You just go onto your VODs and you can relive that experience. And I've gone back to watch my first playthrough, and it was just like a kid in a candy store kind of feeling. But that quickly changed. We've been through some up and downs with Path of Exile 2. I was very adamant that I was not going to make the same mistake I made with Path of Exile 1. I missed the boat on that big time. Like I said earlier, I didn't come in till Crucible
Mm,
3.21, very late in the game. Um, so I was very adamant that I wanted to be there since day one, and I have been. I've played every league, and yeah, I've enjoyed them, some more than others.
okay,
And I'm typically not a one build kind of guy. I'm a
got it.
multiple builds guy, and if I really like the league, it'll be 4 or 5 builds. Yeah, like, and if I'm not enjoying it, then I'll stop after a couple.
Right, right.
But no, it's been my first time was unbelievable. It was awesome. That weekend was I hardly slept.
Yep.
Um, and I'm sure you did the same thing, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I remember being hard stuck at GNR for like an hour and a half. And then
Yep.
the first bit, I think my first largest roadblock, it was kind of crazy. Just thinking to what I do now, it was the Val City, actually. Like when you travel to the past, I just remember that being like a meat grinder where I
Well,
was playing a
before
monk. Say again?
yeah, sorry,
Are you good?
try. Before the Viper fight.
Yeah, before the Viper fight, I felt like that was the biggest check of just gear and me just understanding the different mechanics of the individual mobs and like I bashed my I've gone back to the VOD too. I literally was hard stuck there for like 6 hours where I had to go back and farm previous areas for items. Like I didn't have rares in every slot, right? My power level was just way low. And I really love that feeling. I'm curious to hear. I know now there's been like a lot of balance changes and a lot more power has gone into that of the players. You're able to scale up your skills a lot easier, just your overall defenses, mobs melt a lot faster, so do bosses. I know that there's also the knowledge gap, right? You know a lot more about the game now than you did when you were having your kid in a candy shop experience. Did you like that more like attrition focused style of game that it seemed like they were going for, like, in that first week of 0.1? Or were you kind of feeling it by the end of the campaign, like, it's nice on playthrough 1, but I kinda want this to be easier. I wanna be able to get gear easier. I wanna progress through faster. What was your whole perspective on that?
Are you referring like at launch, or are you talking retrospectively now?
Ooh. I would love at launch and then retrospectively, I'd love to hear it.
Well, at launch, it was the first time through, so there was no set expectation.
Yeah,
I personally didn't think, is this game going to be slow? Is this game going to be fast? I just wanted, to me, am I having fun? And as
right.
an ARPG lover, does it have kind of the things that I like to check off? Aesthetically,
Interesting.
gorgeous,
Yeah.
beautiful game. Um, the boss fights were amazing. I loved them. And the campaign I found at the time was, and they've addressed many of these issues.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of a lot of the dead ends. Again, something they've addressed.
Right.
The amount of backtracking, it's been addressed. I think they still need to do a little bit better job of that. The large zones, that has been addressed. I didn't like that. You mentioned Act 3, that was definitely up there as far as it being massive. Um, having to repeat having to repeat the acts. Now, at the time, I understand.
Yeah.
You know, it's been very clear to me, and sorry, I don't mean to jump ahead or
No, you're
anything,
good.
but clearly GGG was not prepared for the sheer volume of work involved with this game. I think they've been playing catch up ever since
Fair.
the release of PoE2, and I think '05 has, I think finally they've kind of like they've exhaled. Um,
Yeah.
and but yeah, like I now retrospectively, and this might not, a lot of people might not agree. I kind of like the fact that there's a difference in style of play in the campaign than there is in the end game. And I'm referring to
Ah,
the speed,
yeah.
I'm referring to the power, because I like it because it actually is it's correlated with the power of the player.
Hmm.
In the beginning, we're nothing and we're slugging it along. You know, you're there was a period during all these patches that it was hella work to defeat a white mob. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it
yeah.
took a lot.
Mhm.
Um, and I like that progression. I think it matches, if you're doing things right in the game, I think it matches your power level, right? Going from
Yeah.
0 to hero kind of thing. So I kind of like it. I still think the campaign needs to shrink a little bit. Now we'll see once the mini acts go and Act 5 and Act 6 come.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we know Act 6 is supposed to be half the size of all the other acts from what we've heard in the past. So we'll see what that means. But yeah,
I think that's a really nuanced point of view, especially what you brought up at the outset. You went in kind of with a blank slate, like no real expectations. That's interesting because if I look back, and I think many other players were very different. Looking at a lot of other players, especially those who had played like Path of Exile 1, I think a lot of them, even like streamers, content creators, kind of expected, hey, I should have that level of progress akin to Path of Exile 1. And were kind of shocked that it was so different. And then I had the expectations, unlike you, who had blank expectations, that, yeah, it's going to be super slow. It's going to be gritty. I'm going to have to teleport back to town to refill my flask. I'm going to die multiple times to these bosses. It's going to be crazy. And I thought the whole game was going to be like this. And so I had my expectations met in the campaign and then shattered in the end game, where it was kind of the opposite for the former group I talked about. So it's just looking in retrospect at all the reactions and opinions. I think yours was probably the best going in with that blank slate, because if we kind of review what Grinding Gear Games has done with all the feedback, I think you're right that they didn't expect that this much work was going to have to go into early access and that so much was going to need to change. I bet they almost kind of view it as a blank slate at this point too, because I don't think they knew what type of game they were going to build until they got a crap ton of players starting to play it. Really. And it's evident with the amount of changes that have happened to the fundamental systems, the amount of iteration that have happened on existing systems, right? So yeah, that's a great way to look at it, Sammy. I thought that
yeah,
was really eloquently said.
yeah, thank you. Look, everyone has an opinion, and you know, uh, here's my take on that. I have a different angle.
Yeah.
I, I think Grinding Gear Games has always known what kind of game they wanted Path of Exile 2 to make. What really threw them, and I take you back all the way to prior to early access coming out,
Hmm.
the Diablo 4 thing happened when they saw the reaction of their release and everyone complaining about the end game having nothing.
Hmm.
And that's where we saw the pivot, where we got the early access was delayed,
Hmm.
because I think Grinding Gear Games was going to release the campaign and then work on the end game, put more meat on the bone on the end game.
Mhm.
And then they did that 360, and they're like, oh shit, everybody is really pissed at D4, and we need to put more meat on the bone in the end game. So they stopped working on the campaign and started focusing, and we got the delay. So ever since that decision, they've been playing catch up.
Mm.
And it's taken 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're kinda right on patch 0.5 finally like, you can see it with I think Jonathan especially, that he's relieved with the reception to 0.5 and with the amount of work that they've done leading up to this moment. You could see it in the interviews with, like, legendary drops and with Destin and Ziggy. They are they're happy with what they've done, and, it's evidenced in the reception to I'd wager 80%, 85% of all the comms I see online are like, "Yeah, this was a win. This was a good patch." Like, I see people who disliked PoE2, who hated it, who already liked it, who loved it, like, they're all in agreement that this was a really substantive, compelling, worthwhile patch. Like, everybody's just having a fun, which is great to see. I do wanna kinda not to linger on it too long. You said that they always knew what type of game they wanted Path of Exile 2 to be. I don't. As someone who has been unhealthily following the journey of PoE2 for so long, I don't think that's true. Because if you go back to, like, 2019 when it was first revealed, right? Expansion to PoE1, right? It's just a big X-Pack, graphical overhaul, blah, blah, blah. You come to 2023 and they reveal, okay, it's a separate game because it's so different from PoE1. Literally, these can't be two of the same game. It's gonna have very different player bases, right? They're both ARPGs, but they're gonna be played very differently. We can't have them on the same engine and the same client. It would destroy everything. We just can't. All these animations are gonna need to be updated. Da, 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 da. And then you get to release 2024, early access comes out. Um, Lots of feedback. Lots and lots of feedback. And I think it really clashed, and you can see it. And I think the pivot point was that interview between Zizarin and Jonathan, where I think it was the dawn of the hunt, much contested interview.
Yeah, I remember.
Heated, right?
Hmm.
Jonathan had a bad day. Zizarin was pushing what all the feedback was from the player base, like the game is too hard, loot isn't dropping, so on and so forth. I think that was the moment that they kind of shifted because if you look at 0.3, that's when I think they decided we're not doing the more attrition, slower progression game that we wanted, where I think between 0.1 and 0.2, they were rooting out all the like Gemling Legionnaire stat stackers and cast on crit, spark, all that stuff was being rooted out. In 0.3, it pivoted and they gave a lot more power and agency to the player and less of it to the monster. And they really leaned into you progressing really much quicker and giving that power fantasy to the players. And then we saw it again in 0.4 and again in 0.5. And I think 0.2 into 0.3 was when they decided, hey, this is just going to be a better Path of Exile 1, and we're going to pull out all the stops to do it because it's got the updated animations, updated graphics. We have more capabilities here. So we're going to keep Path of Exile 1 going as strong as they can. But Path of Exile 2 is like where the future is going to be. We're going to eventually convert all the PoE1 players to PoE2, and that's that. That's my take on it. Like sitting here thinking it over with you. What do you think about that?
Um, yeah, no, it's valid. Didn't change my opinion, but it's valid. I totally understand that perspective. I Look, to me, Grinding Gear Games knows how to make video games.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
have a history and proof of concept. Path of Exile 1, regarded as, depending on who you're talking to, the best ARPG, or definitely right there,
Yeah.
right? So they know what they're doing. Like I said, I I know this is very simplistic point of view. I think they always knew what they wanted to do. They just they had that pivot prior to early access, and all this stuff, the Zizaran interview and that friction. Yeah, Jonathan definitely had definitely didn't come off good on that interview. It's just they have been playing catch up since the release of this game. And I totally agree with you. Now, when you look at the interviews that are happening since '05 has dropped, it's like this huge weight has
Yeah.
come off, Jonathan and Mark, and a sense of relief. So I look, a studio is going to take player feedback with a grain of salt. A studio cannot, they need to listen to their player base, but they can't let it um, it, we can't design the game for a studio. We're
Oh.
doomed if that's the case, right?
No,
Um, so
it's attributed to Chris Wilson, I think, but I'm sure other devs said it. Like, players are terrible at designing the game, but they're great at giving feedback, right? They can let
yeah,
you know how they're feeling, but they have no idea how to fix those feelings they're having, you know,
right.
when it comes
Yeah,
to it. Yep. Totally
yeah.
agree.
I don't know about you, but as a content creator, I feel an obligation to let them know, what we feel about the game. Hence, why we create content. Hopefully, I don't know if they watch my stuff. I'm sure they watch yours and a lot of the other top content creators in the space. And I'm sure it's like anything, they digest it and then they take it internally but at the end of the day, they know the roadmap.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing, right? So but anyway, I'm just happy. There's no way, if you would have talked to me when '04 was live, there's no way if someone said to me, Sammy, '05, they're going to hit it out of the park with the end game. It's going to be, everyone's going to be, I would have said, get the F out of here. There's like a 360. I would have
Yeah.
agreed to a 180, but not a 360. And I totally
Right.
agree with what you said earlier. I'm seeing the same thing from my community, from my content, the comments, everyone, just about everyone. It's unanimously a big W. I'm so happy they, s- stayed the course with the Infinite World. I really
Me
do
too.
think, yeah, I really do think it provides an endless ocean of opportunity for them.
Mm.
So I'm glad they stuck with their guns there, because I know there was an audience within our community. Generally, I'm saying that
Yeah.
we're singing the get rid of the infinite world. Let's go back to just the old system of Path of Exile 1 kind of thing.
Yeah, that's one of the big systems that is really different between games, and I'm also with you. I think the Infinite Atlas, it just needed a bunch of iteration, and with this patch, they did exactly that. They didn't half-ass it at all. They went all in. They showed this is what it can really be. And they even went in the interviews. They're like, okay, this is the first iteration of this new Atlas, but then in the future, when we add more leagues, there could be rings of content, spaced out from the center. And like you said, infinite ocean of opportunity. Like, literally, they can just expand it in all these different ways and make cool points of interest, and they can mix it up every league so that even if maybe one league is a little smaller than others, just reshuffling how the end game looks, that feels new. That feels fresh. So I totally agree. I'm glad that they're distinct and they didn't go with the finite Atlas version. It's been a blast. Like, how was that for you? I almost felt like it was campaign 2, but like a sandbox version of the campaign with the quest lines you could follow and all these different things to unlock. I loved that design personally. I went for everything. How was your first experience with it in 05?
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
I'm an idiot, so
me too.
I need a stop and a start, and that's the reason why they did it. We've heard Jonathan and Mark say it. They found that a lot of players were going into the end game. They didn't know the start, they didn't know the finish, and they left.
Yeah,
So the fact that they added quest lines, dedicated zones, so we know where each one is. We know where the fortress
mm,
comes into play right away as soon as you get into the end game. I love it. I love it. Like their intention. Their intention was to provide us with, here's where you start, Here's where you finish. Yep, you can go somewhere else and start and stop somewhere else. So I love that they added the quest lines. I love that they're dedicated. It's big W, big W.
Being a fan of 05, was this a 4 or 5 character patch for you? And if so, was there any one character that you played that kind of stood above the pack?
I started with the Spirit Walker and hit a
Oh,
wall just before level 90.
okay.
And then I
Were you a zoo tamer or like twisters or what'd you do?
I was a I was a twister
Ah,
with some beasts, but not
okay.
the big
Okay.
not the monkey.
Yeah.
Although although if we go into my hideout right now, I did swap to that off stream just
Ah,
because but I haven't played it since. But anyway, I switched
yeah.
to an oracle. I went spell totems with grim pillars
That's the build.
and
Mm,
oh my
busted.
god. So that thing kicks ass and I cannot get off of it.
Uh-oh.
I so it that build is probably the strongest build I've played in Path of Exile 2. I love it and is the main cause why I have so many hours in O5 and why I probably should have ended up with 4 or 5 builds, but I only ended up with 2
Okay.
because of that build. I played it so much.
Okay. What do you is it the feel, just the power, the visuals? Because I know a lot of people are just in love with Grim Pillars and Totems. So what's the thing that makes it really click for you? Is it just that power?
Blowing up shit.
It
Yeah.
right, exactly. Dude, that's what
The
my dad
thing
says about his build. He's just like, "I just
blowing
like
up shit.
annihilating shit," you know? Like, just
Like, it sucks for performance, and I'm sure we're gonna get on that topic later, but, um, my computer, you know, I it's like 3 years old. I only have a 3080,
oh, no.
but and then
Oh,
you put the performance stuff that we've been going through with this game, even though, thank God, recently, as everyone knows,
yep.
there's been some improvements there. But from that perspective, it sucked. Getting crashed out all the time, freezing, losing maps, losing loot, like because I got DC'd, like that sucked. And I don't know if anyone, if you've watched any of my streams, I wear my emotions. I'm a horrible poker
Yep.
player. If I'm not feeling it, you're gonna know. And there may or not been a lot of swear words
Ah,
there.
that's okay. That's the way to do it. That's the way to just wear it on your sleeve, just go all in. That's, that's the truest form of content creation, I think. Just saying
Yeah.
whatever you're thinking, without a filter.
I'm a sore loser, so you're gonna hear me moan and bitch and complain, and someone new that probably comes into my stream like, "Oh my god, this guy must hate this game."
Yeah, right?
But
It's
nope.
it's what fans of the game it's something that I kinda realized. I'd say, honestly, like, I maybe 6 or 7 months ago that, it kinda just clicked with me. Whenever I'm playing games with my friends or with, just my brother, who's also my friend. If you're listening, brother, you're my friend. Everyone just almost seems like they hate the games they play. We're always bitching, we're always complaining about the performance or the rules or the current meta or, okay, RNG's not in our favor. They're always and for the longest time, when I was first making, like, content, I'd always, like, kinda just get dour when people did that or when I did that myself, and I'm like, "Oh, this isn't fun," or "What am I doing? This isn't understand." Then I realized, no, 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 this is literally what everyone does. Everyone just complains about the games they love because they love the games, right? It's like it's almost natural to hate on those things and quarrel about the things that you are in love with, right? Um, so I've tended to do that a lot more, like, just blatantly, lately with the game, especially last patch, 04. Totally with you, Sammy. If you would have asked me if 05 would just completely revamp everything and turn it I would not have said that, to 0.4.
Well,
So,
I was getting tired of answering, 1.0 when? 2028, 2029. I'm like, "Guys, it's not
not
happening."
happening.
Jonathan has said
Uh,
since the beginning he
yep.
doesn't want it to be more than a couple of years. Like, he does not want that happening. Now, they've had to, you know, step back on a couple of things that they initially talked about.
Mm,
Like, we were supposed to get all the classes before 1.0.
yep.
That went out the window.
Mm.
We were supposed to get all the trials. That's out the like. So there's things they've scaled back on. But yeah, yeah. You know what? Try. I still don't believe it. I oh 05, like 360, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the amount of content. This wasn't just, oh my God, they did a great job with the Infinite Atlas and, they added the fortress. Look at all the content. And now I'm going to start sounding like a shill here.
Hey, it's okay.
Um,
Nobody paid. No,
but
GGG doesn't pay any of us really.
yeah,
So
exactly.
okay.
Um, like the pure amount of content, like, come on, like, unbelievable.
It didn't just have like depth, it had quite a bit of breadth to it too. I really felt that. And there's just so much to dig into. And then the follow-up patches, that was something that really impressed me. And I don't know if this is going to be the norm going forward. We did see it with All Flame and PoE1. We have seen 3 follow-up patches. I think one came out today, 0.3, 3.29.3. That was also pretty shocking. And we have another one coming up that's going to be tied to an event league as well, like a 1-month event league. I think it'll drop probably in September after Gamescom. Is there, I know you mentioned performance. I think we're all in agreement that like just the better the game runs, the less crashes, the better it will be for literally every player. Is there one piece of feedback that you hope reaches GGG and is addressed for that 1.0 launch? Like if you could distill it down to one big thing, what would that be that you hope is addressed either in 1.0 or with this interim patch 055?
Okay, it's too big of a game to only have one. So
Okay.
give me
Okay.
some lenience here, please.
Let me roll a die, like 2 to 3, 3, 4, maybe.
Okay. And I know you said accept this, but number one,
I, yeah,
by a long shot,
I agree.
has to be the performance. They cannot go into 1.0 with this performance BS. They cannot. Because for the following reasons, sorry. There are a lot of players sitting on the sidelines that are waiting for the game to be flushed out, or they don't want to spend the 30 bucks, 40 bucks, whatever it is, depending on what country you're in. They don't want to shell out the money. So they're waiting for 1.0 for and free to play. So, we can talk about what our estimations are on how many players are going to be there in December.
A lot.
We're all speculating December, but they cannot. You only get one first impression. These players, they come in the game and they start having this freezing, DCing, that kind of crap. They're gone.
Hmm.
A lot of these players, they're not going to put up with it, and they're gone. So it's going to be a huge lost opportunity with the new players that are coming. Um, I think they need to do better jobs with and I'm the last person to talk about anything build related. I don't get that deep into the weeds, but
Ditto.
come on, we need some, outside of the Mage Blood and some one or two others, we need some build defining uniques in the game. I
Hmm.
think that is big. It sounds like that is going to be coming in 055. They're doing balancing, they're adding way more unique. So we'll see if those uniques they're saying are coming in 055 are going to be, quote unquote build defining
Yeah.
uniques, cuz right now a unique is a unique outside of, like I said, the Mage Blood, the Headhunter, we need better ones.
Hmm.
Something you can make a build around. And then again, not my forte, I'm not a subject matter expert on this, but um, you mentioned, these discussions I've been having with my content
Yeah.
on my YouTube channel. I've I read every single comment, and this one thing that keeps popping up is this armor ES, the fact that armor doesn't do what its intentions are. The fact that ES is the go-to every league now, they need to fix that. I know it's on their radar, but for whatever reason, they're not addressing it. Um, so those are the things that
Okay.
pop up in my mind.
Yeah. I think performance, totally agree, too, with the build defining uniques. Would love to see more of those, especially I know this is kind of controversial because everybody loves chasing that perfect rare weapon, but I would love to see some weapons that really can scale and be build defining. I know there are several that you can use and be powerful, but it's not like the weapon itself that is chase. I don't know if that's I'm talking like Starforge or Echo Forge in PoE1. I want some of those in PoE2. I think it's really lacking build defining uniques that are weapons. And then with the armor ES, I think the biggest like I know that they've been introducing a lot of different ways to scale up with armor and it is a lot better. I think the real problem is just that ES is just far and away the best.
Oh,
It's just that's just so much
absolutely,
better. Like that's
absolutely.
it. You can become chaos immune. You can stack it. Legions higher than most life that you can get. That's the problem with ES, and I don't know if they did a lot of ES recharge nerfs. I think it was with 0.5. Not enough. It doesn't matter because you could just stack such a high amount of ES, right? And there are other ways to recharge it. So I'm curious to see if anything does happen there because I agree with you. I think there should be a little bit more parity between the different defense mechanisms, and they have said that this is going to be a big balance patch. That's going to be the
Yeah,
primary focus. So it's I hope it's kind of scorched earth with a lot of this stuff, and they do go make some big swings and really try to address some of these issues because I don't think it'll draw back, 300, 400,000 players. I think we'll probably get a decent amount of people hopping back in. Like PoE2 still peaks daily around like 35, 40 on Steam. Okay. I think we'll get quite a few people back to play Path of Exile 2 to test this out. So hopefully
yeah.
they don't make
Oh,
it small, you know?
I think it's going to be big. 1.0 is going to be big numbers, but
Oh, one point.
05, there was a period there of like 3-4 weeks, even more longer. They were averaging over 200,000.
I know.
Like,
It was second best after 0.1. It's
yeah,
crazy. Crazy this
yeah.
patch. And I think
Well,
what do you think 1.0 is going to be? What's your guess on Steam?
oof,
Are you a million believer?
I am.
You are. Oh, see, I am too, dude. I'm a million believer.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a sucker, man.
Yeah. It's going to be
I'm a
free.
sucker.
Lost Ark hit 1 million. Come on.
Yeah. Well,
Come on.
didn't they have that in purchases and pre-release? Like,
They did. Yes. Yep. I think they had over 1 million
and
on
that was people had to fork out
they did.
$30,
Yep.
$40, whatever
Yep.
it was, whatever currency you deal with. But this isn't going to be the case. You're not going to have to
Uh-huh.
put out a penny.
Yeah.
So well,
I'm pumped. I'm pumped to see it. Going into that, what is your plan for 1.0, Sammy? Do you have any big plans? You're going to be covering like Exile Con and anything else? You have like any challenge runs planned up for until then, or what's going on?
I well, IRL has kind of gotten in the way. Plus, I'm kind of realigning and not to get too deep into the because no one cares.
They're listening.
Is Yeah. I'm kind of going through a shakeup on my live streams,
Yeah.
going back very at the beginning of this conversation,
Yeah.
burning both ends of the candle there kind of conversation. I was live streaming definitely minimum 5 times a week, 6 times a week,
Wow.
plus creating content, plus having a full-time job. It was getting in the way of my content. So I'm scaling back on that and I have vacation coming up. Of course, when Grinding Gear Games is probably going to launch 055, I'm going to literally be gone from all of September. So I'm bringing my gaming laptop with me, but good luck turning that on
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um,
Where are you going, if you don't mind sharing? Or is this
yeah,
top
yeah, no
secret?
worries. No, no, I'm going to Italy.
Oh,
I'm
oh,
going to
that's
Italy.
cool.
Yes. So this is the longest trip I've done in a long time. We're
Yeah.
going for over 3 weeks.
Jeez.
So yeah, it's going to be quite the challenge from a content perspective. Live streams, I can just tell everybody, hey, you're not going to see me for a month. They'll all applaud. They're
Yeah.
like, don't worry about it. We'll go watch someone else, and they're good. But I don't need to tell you what not creating content for 3 weeks means.
Yeah, it's bad. It can
It's
be
bad.
bad. No, I
So
feel you.
I'm trying to get all the ducks in a row for that and pre-plan for that. And then unfortunately, outside of just having a gaming laptop, I don't have any content stuff, like a mic and this and all that
Yeah.
for doing content or at least recording content overseas. So
Right.
we'll see what I can come up with here.
Oh, well, have fun in
But as for
Italy. Come on.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. I need the break. But
Yeah.
as far as 1.0 is concerned, that's happening in December.
Yep.
So it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be early access, 2.0. It's gonna be reliving that. I'm super
Mhm.
excited. We'll see. We'll see if all this speculation is true. Are we gonna get a class? Are we gonna get the swords? Everybody's talking about swords and swords and swords, and so that'll be interesting. Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know what, to be honest with you. Typically on a big release like that, I will absolutely. I typically will stream the whole weekend just with sleep breaks. I don't know if that's what I'm going to do for 1.0. We'll see. Am I going to cover ExileCon? Of course. I will cover anything Path of Exile 2. It's my main game. It's what I talk about literally every day. So yeah, I absolutely will cover everything. Gamescom's coming up.
Yeah.
We'll see if they announce 055 there. Yeah, so super excited. We got some very interesting times ahead.
Oh, 100%. And you led the conversation saying that there's so many different creators in this space. Dude, with 1.0, gonna open up even more. It's gonna be a vicious battleground. There's gonna be so many people coming in and try like brand new content creators coming up, people from other games. Like it's gonna be interesting times. I think it'll rival that Diablo 4 launch feel. Like we'll have some people soaring up out of like from obscurity into fame, like Darth Microtransaction, who's been grinding it for so long, and then he just sky high with his Diablo 4 content. I think the same sort of thing is going to happen with PoE2. I do think it will be that grand. So
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
I welcome it.
Yeah,
That's awesome. It's only good for the game. I love it. And for me, I'm concentrated more on just like my brand, my voice. I think I had my best month last month.
that's awesome. Congrats, dude.
Yeah, content wise. So I think I'm starting to finally get my rhythm and find my voice and I kind of stumbled around there a lot the first couple of years just trying to keep up with the Joneses, and I really wasn't true to myself. Not that I was lying or anything, just you know, I think as a creator, you gotta talk about things that are mean something to you
Mm,
and reflect your personality. And I think people respect when you're genuine about something and you're being honest. And that's what I'm trying to do. And the other thing that I really um I really struggled with was the ebbs and flows of the game. I was reliant on the information from the game. If there was news, I had content. If there was no news,
yep.
I had no content. And
Mhm.
I wanted to break away from that. So, um, you mentioned some of the content that I did that's resonated with some of the player base there about the economy, how people make currency in the game, the state of the game. it all kind of resonated with some, and you know what? It kind of gives me the power back as far as talking about things and at my pace, not having to rely on the game for content. Now,
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, uh, you know, the game is going to drive the content because we're talking about the game.
right.
And it's also the content that I've been doing lately is also very true to, who I am and what I like talking about. I'm the why guy. I always, why are they doing this? How come they're doing it? What does it mean? So to some people that resonates, to others it's like, what build is it? They want to talk about that kind of stuff. So those people may or may not watch my content, but I like how things are progressing, and making content is a learning curve, and it's going to take a while to you know get it up to snuff. But yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, that's a stellar way to look at it. I I've kinda gone through the same sort of thing, when I started making videos where, just like you said, you were kinda pressured into doing a certain type of content because, like, that's what was being fed, right? Whether it was, like, news about the game or, "Okay, I did 10 videos in a row of all the tiniest little news drops, so I have to continue doing those even though it's like, is this even worth a video? Like, am I liking doing these videos?" And I stopped doing that when I realized, like, this is like, the signal to noise ratio of these videos is shit. And I don't feel good doing it, and I wanna remain genuine, and it's also why sometimes you have, like, kind of those breaks, like you kinda said. You you wanna like you wanna like it when you're doing content, you wanna enjoy it. It's like that at least you have a full-time job, I have a full-time job. I do this because it's fun, not to necessarily make money. The money is like a nice side thing that, I can put into my child's college saving account and everything. But I do it because it's fun. And if it's not genuinely fun, well, then I go dark. And it seems like that's sort of the same sort of thing that's going on with you sometimes. Like sometimes you just need a break. You're just not feeling it. So you just
Yeah,
stay quiet a little bit.
yeah, no, and I got, I'm not going to do content just for the sake of content.
Yeah, like
Um, but this is a learning curve. It's just
yep,
like in IRL. If someone's, learning a skill or a trade, you're gonna fuck up in the
uh,
beginning.
yep.
Your boss is gonna say, "What the hell you doing, Sammy?" And you learn from that. And I mentioned earlier, I went back and watched my first couple of videos. I'm like, "What the hell? Who is this guy?" Um, but it's all a learning process, and I think everyone has a voice. And the thing that is fascinating about, and even Jonathan mentioned it, he mentioned it in the in the podcast with DM and Gazi, where they had this perception of the average player, the amount of time it took them to kill a boss.
Mm,
They thought it was 8, 9, 10 seconds, and they went back to the data and they saw it was actually 2 minutes. So there's this top 1%, like the streamers, right? That's what everyone looks at, and there's this perception this is how everyone else is playing the game. Not even close. I learned that in the last 2 months having these discussions with players, that there is such a gap and different pillars of players, that what we see on Twitch, and not everybody watches streamers, so don't get me wrong. Um, so there's an audience for every kind of content, you know,
yeah.
and we have, I know I'm repeating myself, which is something I'm known for. Um, we have amazing creators in this space. You mentioned DM, he's awesome. I had the pleasure of speaking with him, and for a guy that is busy as he is, to give time to a small creator like me, and not only give me time, but give me some valid tidbits of how to navigate this space, and just salt of the earth guy. That guy, I wish him another 4 billion subscribers, and he's awesome. I love him. He's a great guy. But we're blessed. We have, from a build perspective, speedrunners, you name it. We got some top-notch talent in this space. I'm proud to be a very, very like I'm in another planet, but
Oh, don't sell
I'm
yourself short. 5,000
I'm
subs is insane, dude. What is that?
yeah,
That's like top 0.5%. That's crazy.
yeah, yeah. It was nice to actually see, hey, you're top 25% of creators between 5 and 10,000 subs. So that was a nice little,
Hey.
yeah. So that was nice. So that's 1 month. We gotta keep it going. But I'm super pumped for PoE2. I love this game. You know this. You get it all the time. Oh, D4, PoE, Grim. They always try to pin you against games.
Yeah,
My take is I want all the games to be successful. It
ditto.
just gives us more to talk about. Even though as a creator, you can kind of screw yourself by, covering multiple games.
Mhm.
But yeah, Path of Exile 2, the way things are going, uh, looks like a bright future, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how they navigate. We'll see how 055 comes, and then, I'm super jealous. I would have loved to have gone to ExileCon. I know you're going, so we're gonna watch you guys, and that's when the big announcement's gonna happen, and then we got 1.0. So exciting times.
Yeah, it's gonna be great, and that's such a great note to end on, man. Screw the tribalism, we want all games to be good, entertaining, and people to have fun playing their respective games, and the future is looking bright for Path of Exile 2. Sammy, this has been fantastic. Thanks for coming on the pod. If you want to give a shout out to any channels that you're on for people at the end of the VOD, go for it.
Well, first of all, Try, thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed our conversation. Thank you. But yeah, just right here, SamyCaps. That's my socials. You'll find me on YouTube, Twitch. I'm on X. That's just about it. Yeah. So thank you for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you, Try.
All right, perfect. Everybody have a fantastic night. Go subscribe to Sammy Caps on YouTube. Everything will be in the description below. And make sure if you enjoyed the pod, like the video, and we will see you next time. Have a good night, everybody.